Good to see you guys.
How's everybody? Lexi, how are you doing? Yeah, how's your day? Just
Good
getting
so
started?
far. Just getting started. We're out of beans this morning, so we had to do an emergency run to get beans. But we're fueled.
Devastating.
Fueled now. No, things are good. It's like slowing down now that it's like holiday season, which feels nice. But yeah, what about you both?
I'm good. I feel like holiday season is like opposite. Like it's both people stop responding to emails and music stuff, but also like everyone's trying to finish everything before the end of the year. So it's like this weird combination of like not being able to reach like 40% of the people and then like being heavily surveilled by like 60% of the people and like just trying to like negotiate um like I don't know. I always feel like a scramble this time of year.
When does that stop?
Feel that.
It stops like I mean it's
When
like
I'm
a
dead.
yeah. Will I ever not feel scrambled? That's a good question. I think like people really do go offline for like Christmas and then there's like sort of a weird dead time before actual New Year where like some stuff is kind of getting wrapped up, but like really no one expects anything before the end of the year after Christmas, I kind of think.
Yeah. I feel like I've been getting hit with the vague, hey, we'll get back to you after the holiday, which it's like don't know which one you're
Yeah.
talking about. So that could mean
Yeah.
Singular.
yeah, that could have meant like Thanksgiving or it could mean early 2025. No way to know.
Hey.
Truly.
What
Yeah.
about you, Allie?
And I'm doing well. I had to, so the reason I'm at Panera right now is because my partner Carol had to have like a last minute doctor's appointment to do some blood works, and their doctor is based in West Babylon, Long Island, where they're originally from, where Carol's originally from. So yeah, we drove out this morning, and this is a pretty good place to do a call. If I had to pick a public place, like I feel like this is really nice.
That's a good
Way
find.
better than Starbucks.
Right, yeah. So Panera, if you're listening,
Sponsor our
yeah,
podcast, Panera.
right. We can like no, please no. But yeah, it's been a good couple of weeks. I feel you on the like Sarah on like the holiday front in that weird sort of. I feel like most of my friends and people I know have gotten sick in some way in the last like 2 weeks, and they're like, it's a pretty good time to get sick, and I was like, okay, like I'm really trying not to get sick, but sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
And glad everyone's like okay. Yeah, but I've been able to get some good work done, so that's fun.
That's
Yeah.
good. Yeah. It's pretty weird. Like also I think like part of this is like self-imposed deadlines too, as both of you know, there's so much self-directed work to do and a lot of it is like, well, I better just get this done so I don't have to take it into 2025.
Mm-hmm.
So part of it is self-pressure and part of it is truly people also doing the same thing and just needing whatever deliverables. So Lexi, we have you on to talk about your song that you put out earlier this year, Shapeshifter, from your EP, which was one of my favorite releases of the year personally. No, I love your music so much, obviously. I love you as a friend, but also I thought this was like such a great release and I was glad you picked this song because it's a song that was so immediate to me and like I think that um yeah, it just like felt like such a hit right away. And I obviously love music that feels immediately classic.
Thanks. That's very sweet.
Yeah. So I guess I don't know if we want to just jump right in here.
Yeah, I'm down. I got questions.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we have questions.
We got questions. Hey, we have
All
questions
right.
coming in from within.
Hot seat.
May I start asking you questions about this song?
You may.
Okay, sick. Well, yeah, I'm such a fan of it. I've always been really blown away. I remember the first time I heard Mini Trees, I was in Nashville, living in Nashville, because you and I had met Lexi at South by 2022. And I had heard your music a bit before then because of Hans Seegers, the drummer who has played with both of us.
Mm-hmm.
He's an amazing drummer based out of now Los Angeles.
Yeah.
But he was the one who was like, you should check out this band I play in sometimes called Mini Trees. And I was just so impressed off the bat with like everything I heard from y'all had just like such awesome creative sounding production and like a really like polished finish on everything in a way that I felt like it wasn't like masking like the human element of your songwriting. It was instead just like elevating everything and making it feel is so fun to listen to. So I just remember thinking like, oh, I really want to learn how to like produce like this. And so my first question for you is along the lines of like, how has your songwriting like made it to that final form of streamable, wave file or MP3, yeah, what's that been like over the years even?
Well, I'm not self-produced, or the final product is not my production mostly. It's my friend Jon Joseph, who Sarah obviously is friends with too. But I think that we've struck a really cool like collaborative partnership in that because basically from the very first Mini Trees release, like Jon's been involved since the beginning. We had worked together on some previous like bands I was playing drums in, and then when I was starting to like write some of my own demos, he was like the first person I thought of and sent to. And so he really like had to hold my hand like initially with like those early days of recording, like especially vocals. Like I'd never really recorded vocals professionally or like in front of anyone before. And so like literally he was part of kind of like that first song ever. And then I think that like our tastes aligned so much and we really both kind of grown together like creatively and like pure like skill wise too. So yeah, at this point, and then like with the new EP, I think over the years like it's become a little bit more of me doing like thinking through some of the production and vision more like in the demo phase, and then getting that to a place where I feel like I've sort of made all the creative decisions that I want to make like up till this point. I'm ready to bring this in, and then like a lot of times it's kind of just like I feel very confident just like sort of handing the reins over, and I'm obviously like there for everything. So from then on, like it continues to be collaborative, but I just like trust Jon's instincts so much. And if you've ever worked with him, or like if you ever do in the future, like he's got his shit dialed like the way that he kind of likes it, and I think that that's always worked well with me too. I've always liked his taste in things. It's just like a very like efficient process at that point. But the thing that was cool about this EP in particular was that we also had other collaborators be involved for the first time, and so we did like a pre-production day, and then we went to Zac Rae's studio, Sarah knows, and had Zac like put a bunch of kind of additional synths in there and like wrote some melodic parts. And so we kind of like started things with Zac and then did most of it ourselves. And then at the very end of the process had James McAllister kind of add some additional stuff to it. So Shapeshifter in particular was one that like we got stems back from James, and Jon kind of like sifted through them and plugged some in, and we sat down and listened to some different ideas. And that was like the most like it like drastically changed, it felt like, from before James and after James. Like his like drum programming stuff was so like clever and cool, and like made it so much livelier than how it was before that. And so from listening to my like demo, like my bedroom demo, to that final version was just like is so drastically different in like the best way. But I sort of have a soft spot for the demo too, because I sat with that demo for like a year before doing anything with it. And so it's sort of fun to hear that. And there's certain elements of it that are like the same synth patch, some of the same harmony stacks. There's some things that we preserved, maybe re-recorded, but the same idea or like the same sound. And then there's just like so much more that we added.
Just to name check here, this is Zac Rae, who plays with Death Cab now. And this is, James McAllister has played with Sufjan. He plays with the Dessner guys, then the National a bunch, and therefore has played on Taylor Swift records now.
Yeah.
So this is a pretty heavy crew. James in a Zoom full of drummers here is an exciting name to hear, and like I love to that like he just got a demo from you and kind of like did his thing and it made that big of a difference, you know?
Yeah. And I forgot one other person too. Ryan, my friend Ryan McDermott played drums on the EP. And that was actually like really fun because I've always played drums on my music, and I like went into this one being like, I don't want to play drums on this one. I want to bring in like big guns. Not that I couldn't have done it, but I don't know, like I think the way that I've always kind of like done things in the past is just like layer, like I can play sort of the bass, like basic beat here, and then I want to hear these other like syncopated rhythms, so I'll keep adding additional, like add perk or add like double up on drums or whatever. And then with Ryan, I could kind of be like, hey, here's the beat I programmed, here's what I want, go play it for real, like go play it live. And then like, yeah, he crushed it. So that's another person to make sure I mention, because especially on Shapeshifter. And actually I heard him talking to my other friend Mark Edlin, who plays drums with me sometimes, kind of explaining, like Mark was like feeling nervous and confused about learning Shapeshifter on drums, and Ryan was explaining his mindset when he recorded it, and he said he compared it to like, he's like, just think Shaka Khan. And I thought that was like so funny because I would have never thought Shaka Khan, but then like for drummer speak, and then like thinking about the rhythm of like the hi-hats and stuff, like it's kind of shocking. That's true.
Yeah, I actually thought that like while I was listening back, because I did like sort of a dedicated listen. This is like I will say this is again like music that I listen to and that I've like put on in the car, but I did like sat down and like really just listened to this song by itself, and I was like shocked at how close to like disco arrangement technique you're using on this. It's kind of like a loop. Yeah, there's maybe like a pre-chorus or something where the harmony is a little different, but it's kind of like this loop that just goes, and the arrangement comes from like pulling stuff out or like adding a guitar thing, which is like so disco to just kind of have the
Mm-hmm.
block and then like mute and unmute thing. This is like a blind spot of my production. Like I feel like anytime I have like a loop based thing, I just like fall in love with it, and then I never get to the like true arrangement of it. So what's your like strategy there, Lexi?
I think I'm kind of similar to you both. I think I gravitate more towards loop bass. I write that way. So I think some of that is like kind of handing that over to someone with fresh ears on it to sort of think through. Because my demo, when it hit the chorus, I hadn't added any guitars. It was like purely like a synth song. And then in the chorus, I kind of kept I kept playing that same synth patch that has that like dot, or like, like delay, like rhythmic thing to it, a bounciness. And that I remember that was something early on that Jon was like, what if we give this chorus like a second to breathe more, and we actually like don't use the synth there, we just have big guitars that are just sort of like open, like big, like whole note, just like strum a chord, and then like kind of change the sound of the drum, or change the beat of the drums, and kind of just like open things up more. And at first I was like, nah. And then we like tried it, and I was like, okay, actually, like we sort of need that sec to like take a breath, and then we get right back into it with like, and then there's like that Phil Collins like drum fill into the second verse. So it's sort of like I ended up liking that a lot. So I think some of that is just like letting someone with fresh ears hear it. Because maybe if I gave myself enough time in between, I could come back with fresh ears and have that same idea. But I think that like I am like definitely demoitis, like, very prone to demoitis. So I think that I maybe wouldn't have arrived at that without inviting someone in to like kind of hear it for the first time. So I think some of it is that just sort of like collaborating with other people. I think they can like find those opportunities a little more quickly than for me. Like I've been sitting with it for so long that I become so attached to it. But yeah, I'm trying to think with Shapeshifter if there's like, I think some of it too is maybe just like playing around, like literally like getting to the end of the song. Like when I first was writing it, it's a lot of just like looping, copy paste, just sort of like putting a skeleton in place so that I could keep writing vocals and melodies over it. And so I think in that process too, it is some of like literally just like playing around with like muting this or taking this out and kind of just seeing how it feels. Because I know like at the end of the song, I think I literally just like pasted the pre-chorus at the end of the song and just kind of was like, that would be an interesting way to end it. Like, and it's like there's no real bridge and there's no real outro. It's kind of just like I put the pre-chorus there and like muted a bunch of things and was like, I wonder how that would feel. And then I end up really liking ending it that way. So I think some of it happened early in the writing process, and then some of it was in the production process with Jon, and like having someone else just like weigh in on what they thought could change or like what could open it up more.
Yeah, that is like that's really like an interesting piece to chew on, is like how much is collaborative of this song, because well, I know that you also like demo pretty extensively and are a pretty great producer in your own right. And it's just such like a refreshing lesson to hear that like the song can always be expanded upon, and like you really built like a room of talent that like took this music to like a different level, I think. And like it shows in the final product. And even like, you know, the stuff that's just you and Jon is so great, but to have just like a bunch of brains on a song, I think ends up elevating the final result here.
Had a desire to just fully do everything by myself. And it's not that I don't think I could do it. I think I just love, like, I was always like in bands, and I don't know, like I think I just love playing music with other people and making music with other people. And maybe early on I was like validation from someone else. At this point it's less that, and I just genuinely love getting to do this with other people and seeing what they hear. And yeah, so I've kind of never really been super interested in like the full self-producing thing, because I just don't know. I mean, I think I should do it at some point. It'd be a very good like practice for me. But it's like really exciting to see how much something can change and like transform, and to your point, like kind of be taken to the next level. And if you have the opportunity to work with people like Zac and James, like, I mean, I felt pretty lucky to get to do that. So yeah.
That's so cool. I would liken the whole like self-produced till the very end experience, at least for myself, more like being, it's like you're a kid and you have access to a playground, but it's like after school hours. And so there's no one else around. And so you're like, this is sick. Like, look at, like, this stuff is really cool. But like all the games that I'm used to playing involve other people. And like there are volleys and like tag and like all these different interactions to have. And yeah, when you take that away, and I don't know, I think you lose, yeah, just the potential for someone else's ideas to kind of change your experience. I don't know. This is not applying so much to the playground um, example as it is for music, but I think it's really cool that you've like opened your world up, because it is a very vulnerable thing. I think to, you know, these lyrics, like I've been looking at them and they seem pretty like introspective, and I'd love to ask you about that a little bit more in a sec. But at least from what I can tell, it seems like a vulnerable process of, you know, expressing yourself, and I just think it's really cool that you would feel that like desire and act upon just opening it up to other people, and the end result is incredible. So I feel like you did it right.
Thank you, both of you guys. Super nice.
Yeah. So on that note, just lyrically, like when did this song, like how did this song originate lyrically? Was it like, did you have a track and then you were writing vocals with lyrics to it? Or did this start as like a note in your iPhone, or what?
Yeah, this one started as like a track. That's usually how it goes actually for me. Usually lyrics are last. And yeah, I basically had found this preset on my mini log that I really liked. So I was just like, I don't know. I'm trying to like remember the like mindset or like the state of mind I was in when I sat down to record it, because I'm pretty sure I just had like turned things on and was just sort of playing, and there was no real song in my head yet. And then with the mini log, I was just like clicking through the presets that like came on it, and found, I think it's called Pluck Mouse. It's like every note has an additional note in it, and I forget if it's like a third or something, but like it makes it so that you can play cool chords with like only actually hitting 2 notes, and then it adds additional notes in. So playing around with that preset kind of like opened up a bunch of ideas already. I was like writing progressions with very minimal effort. Kind of like the Kevin Parker synth that just came out.
Yeah.
Sarah, do you want to explain it? I feel like you could do it more
Yeah,
succinctly.
there's this new like the guy from Tame Impala like got together with this other like tech audio guy, and they made like this synth that is like it's like a creation station. Like it does like chord patterns and like arps and like a bunch of like kind of like idea generative. It's kind of like an omnichord, honestly, but
Mm-hmm.
new.
That's
Yeah,
so
and
cool.
like
There's like a
keys.
physical instrument.
Yeah.
It's really small. I
Yeah,
think
it
it's
has like
just.
buttons and then piano keys,
Mm-hmm.
like an octave.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it looks really fun. It's like prohibitively expensive, but it does look really
Wait,
fun.
what's
I think it's 550, which is like a little too expensive for what it actually does. But
yeah.
also like shout out to Kevin Parker getting his bag again. You know, the design
Oh
is
my god, it looks
beautiful.
so cool. Yeah, it
Yeah,
looks
it
so
like
cool.
Yeah.
looks really cool. It seems really fun. I think
Oh my
like
god, there's one octave.
Yeah.
yeah. But the idea is that you just can like hit a button and a note and then get like all the chords, all the voicings and stuff.
That's
Yeah.
so interesting. Yeah, there's literally 12 piano keys.
It's going to be extremely easy for me to convince myself to get something like that, despite it not being really something I should spend money on.
Yeah, is this just in time for Christmas, I feel, right? Like
Yeah. I actually,
the
to be
one
honest with
holiday.
you, I was expecting it to be more expensive. I just figured like it
Yeah.
would be like $1,000 or something like that. So I had my
Yeah, yeah,
expectations, or I was expecting the worst, and then hearing 550 actually felt a lot better than what I thought it would be. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's similar to the mini log like you were using. Like when that came out, I actually picked that's like the one analog piece of gear that I own actually. And I love it. And yeah, it was like I think it was pretty affordable, like around like it was like 300,
mhm,
350.
yeah,
yeah.
For what it does, I feel like that's a pretty great, and it's like still holding up, and it's a great piece of equipment. Yeah, like generally in that price range is so much more artist friendly. I feel like than like
Mhm,
the next step up I see is like for new equipment would be like I'm thinking of like the teenage engineering stuff. Like there's a lot, but like in terms of like these like simple tools, even though that's kind of complex, but they're like minimalist designs that are
mhm,
like optimized to help you generate things, and
yeah.
probably from a place of it's less like I know that I want to make this sound. I know that I want to make this sound. It's just more like you go fishing and they're
mhm.
gonna like put fish in the pond for you to kind of like grab and choose which one you're gonna take home and eat. But
Yeah,
yeah, so anyways, that's
yeah.
yeah, that's an interesting I'll have to look into that synth, but it's cool
No,
though
but
too how you so you're saying lyrics are like always last or
usually I've actually been trying to push myself to write them during the rest of the songwriting process, and like just because basically I would put down like mumble melodies, and then I would circle back
ooh,
and like be like, what is this song, and like what are these melodies bringing up for me, and what's like coming to mind, and then I would start writing lyrics. But then it would be like mumbleitis, where I'm like, how do I fit words into this like mumbled phrase that I'm attached to now? And yeah.
mumbleitis. I love that.
um
I'm writing that
yeah.
down. That's gonna be the name for our episode.
Yes. Yeah. So right now I'm trying to like ad lib more, even if it doesn't make total sense yet, because at least it can sort of like set me on a path, I think, for like some sort of topic of the song, and then that's sort of helpful rather than like doing everything in like Simlish and then being like, okay, how do I fit actual meaning into this? Which, by the way, my
Wait,
peak
what's
goal in my music career is a song on The Sims. That is like the only thing I care about in terms of like milestones and accomplishments. So anyone knows somebody,
It's so possible.
because we all
It's
know
so
people who have
possible. Yeah,
songs on The
anyone
Sims.
listening? Yeah, let's any Sims talent of
Please.
casting agents listening, put a mini Trey's song in Sims.
Dude, you don't even know like how stoked I would be. And Allie, Simlish is the Sims official language.
Yes. I wouldn't know, and I appreciate you explaining that to me because I would not know that. However, I came across this when looking at like alternative like fonts and like I think I was looking at webdings and like the evolution of web and that kind of thing. And then I saw Simlish and I was like, what? And like the creator of The Sims and the creator of this language has like a really interesting like career path and it's just so fascinating. It looks so cool. Like
Yeah,
Whoa.
it
just
is
the
a cool,
characters just
cool
look
looking
so
language.
fun.
It kind
I
of
didn't
looks
even
like,
know it was a written language.
yeah, it sort of looks like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know how AI can't figure out English yet, or like it can't figure out letters. And have you ever seen like an AI generated image with like that's supposed to have some like maybe like a, I don't know, like a college sweater or something? It can't figure out letters, so then it does wingdings or like Simlish looking stuff.
Oh yeah,
But
right.
yeah, no, there's like, I remember there was a time where Maddie and I were texting about Simlish, and there's like official words for like hi, hello. Like they have like a basic language set. So I think if
Crystal
you,
is hello, apparently.
yeah, so, that's right.
Crystal, put in the chat. Is it okay? Yeah. I'll send you guys this song.
Anyway,
So I just saw the Wikipedia.
yes, I've been on this
Oh, maybe I
Wikipedia
too
I'm
before.
much.
dying.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah,
Anyways, sorry, I
but I
know
don't know
Oh
how
my
I'm
to put
taking
the
this
god.
chat
conversation
either.
off the rails a little bit.
No, this is Singlish is important. Okay, well, as you can see in the chat now, the left side is the Simlish phrase, and then the right side is like the English translation.
Wait, Sul
So
Sul is
Reagan
hello and Soon
Flagat,
Soon is bye bye. Confusing.
Whoa.
I like that because it's like hopefully soon.
Yeah, it's
Aw,
beautiful.
that's
Hopefully
sweet.
soon we'll see each other again.
The only thing I can think of with Simlish is that video of Katy Perry singing Last Friday Night for them in Simlish, and just like her eyes, like her soul is just like leaving her body. In like you can see it happening in the video. She's just like, "What am I doing?"
See, that wouldn't be me. I would be like, it'd
Yeah,
be
you'd
like
be throwing it
my,
down.
yeah, I would be feeling like so fulfilled in life in that process. Yeah. So EA, if you're
Sounds
listening,
awesome.
yes,
Exactly.
yes.
Well, that's cool.
Anyways,
Well,
tangent.
so tangential. So yeah, with this Burnout EP, did it all kind of have the same origin? Did each song kind of have a similar origin in terms of how it was made and built and up until release?
Actually, no. I feel like they were all slightly different. Shapeshifter came first, and I sat, yeah, like I said, I sat with that one for like a long time and didn't quite know what I wanted to do with it yet. I had actually like hit up Porches because I just like love Porches and DM'd him and was like, dude, like if you'd ever be open to collaborating or whatever, like just expecting no response. And then he was like, he immediately responded and was very nice. And then I sent the demo link at some point and like never heard from him. But to be fair, being sent a demo link, like, I don't know. I feel like it's hard to actually open it. Do you guys ever feel that way? Like it feels like intimidating because then it's like, well,
Yeah.
what if this doesn't click with me, or what if I don't know? So I feel like I totally understand. But I remember early on thinking like this could be a cool song to like collaborate with another artist on, or like have it be a co-write or something. Like I was like willing to sort of let go of it in a way, but ended up just holding on to it. So that one came first. I guess I don't really remember the order, but like some of the ones that were written very differently, like Cave was just like a like songette at first, like mini song that like I had just gotten back from tour with it was like a tour we did with Howdy, and I was alone for some reason. Like I think Garrett was like out of town or something, and I was alone and I was just like mega depressed, like tour sads to the extreme. And I was up really late one night, just like with my little like rubber bridge guitar, and started writing that song. And thought it was just going to be like a cool little like interlude moment or something like that, and was very like
Is this while you
intentional
were
about
on
the
tour, or
no, right after I got
sorry,
home.
there's a lag. Okay, post that makes sense. Okay,
Yeah, just
sorry, please
exactly.
continue. This is really
Yeah.
interesting.
No, the post tour slump, and then on top of that, just being home alone for like a week or something. So I was just like, um, and yeah, and then like the use of like auto tune was very intentional because I hadn't done any like hard tune songs before, and I remember thinking like I want to write like a depressing Alex G type song, and that was kind of like until later like bringing that into Jon, and then we kind of like we were like, yeah, this could be like an interlude, this could be like a mini song or whatever. But then we were like, well, let's see if we could write like a cool verse too, or like a different section, and if we don't like it, but we'll try it, and obviously ended up keeping it. It kind of depends. And then like Burnout was a song that Jon and I like wrote from scratch together. We just like booked a
Cool.
day and
Nice.
like started a few like song ideas, and Burnout was one that like really stuck for me, so I kept writing on that one. So yeah, it kind of depends.
Did Nick write on Cave also, or just sang on it?
Nick just sang on it. There's a version of Cave
Okay, cool.
that's like before Nick that has my vocals on the second verse and everything. So we did that version first, and then sent it over to him and had him track his first two and stuff. But yeah, it's pretty like
cool,
similar melodically and everything. It's just in his like special medium build belty voice,
right?
Which
Cool.
I like, which I really wanted.
Special.
Is like in that second verse, I remember like trying to like scream it kind of and be like this is not working. I don't like this at all. And so I was like, who can do this? Nick can do this.
The
A great
experience of
sprouter.
like whenever I tried to do a vocal take, I was like, yeah, I think I need to like push harder. And the experience of like walking that back and like it's like the walk of shame, like what if it didn't work, and then just being like, okay, like, maybe that character was like too much. Like I just had that happen last week. That's why this is like fresh in my mind.
Yeah,
I have a quick
it's
question
fine line.
about. Sorry, lag again.
It's fine.
I have a quick question about the vocal production for Shapeshifter, just to like hone in on this specific track. Although I am curious for kind of the whole EP. Were you with Jon Joseph most of the time that they were working on the track? And really, I'm asking that to kind of try to figure out if you know any specifics about like what the approach was there, because the vocal sounds like very, very consistent, very present. There's like this nice like high end sheen and brilliance, but there's also a really nice like sounds like a saturated sort of just like nice harmonic content in the mids. And so it's at the same, it's like cozy and like I don't know, it just to me it sounds kind of like cozy in the mids, but then also like it has this like really polished pop element as you go higher up. And I don't know, that was just my experience. Anyways, what is your experience of like the vocal production? Yeah.
That's a great observation. I don't know if I really pick up on a lot of those qualities. I'm just like, sounds clear and loud. I like it. And I'm singing in tune.
Amazing. Yeah.
That's all I care about.
Same thing. That's the same thing.
No, that's awesome though. I know that Jon has very specific like EQ settings and stuff for my vocals. I've like heard from him and one of the mix engineers we've worked with before that my vocals are like oddly strange to EQ. I'd have to have it to you, or like have Jon explain it to you, but like there's like something weird about it where there's like a lot of frequencies missing. It's very specific. I don't know what that means really. He's like pulled it up and showed it to me.
That's so funny to me. I don't know why.
And like Pro EQ or whatever, he'll pull it up and be like, "Look at, there's nothing here. There's nothing here." And I'm like, "Sorry, like, what do you want from me?" And it's not a bad thing. It's just like a unique thing. And Andy Park, I think, brought that up at one point too. A different mix engineer. But anyways, yeah. Usually, so the thing that's really fun about doing vocals, like with Jon. I mean, I've grown to do a lot of this on my own too in the demo phase because it's fun. And now that I like record BGVs for other people's music and I do that from home, so I kind of have this mindset myself. Usually it's like we just like stack harmonies and BGVs and stuff, like so many, like way more than anyone would ever need. And so that process is really fun, and it sort of feels like building like chords out of the harmonies, and then going through and picking the parts that feel the most like impactful and like stripping stuff away if we need a sec for like the lead to shine more or something. So kind of like that process is like we record tons and tons of stacks and then go back through and hand pick the ones that feel the most meaningful or like helpful to the melody. So yeah, the vocal part is like both stressful but also both like really fun. And usually when we do the harmony stacks, we keep the tune on just so that everything glues together nicely.
Sure, yeah. You write your, like, in terms of just like creating harmonies, is that something that together y'all will like suss it out on the piano sometimes and like compute like this is a third, this is like a fifth, or do you just like kind of like free ball stuff, or like how do you come up with all those harmonies?
It's more of the free ball. Usually, like with Shapeshifter, I tracked a lot of the harmony stacks in the demo first. And so I came in with that, and there were certain parts where I knew I really wanted that part to stay. So then I would call that out, and then we would make sure to track that and have that sit relatively like present in the mix. But then after that, it's usually like I'm in the vocal booth and Jon is at the computer and we're stacking stuff, and then he'll be like, he'll like go on mute for a second and I can hear him in the other room be like just like singing and stuff. And then he'll like hit his little like talk back mic and be like, all right, can you try this one? And then I just like track it, and then it's like fast. It's like boom, 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 because we're just like getting as much as possible. And then we'll like go through it later. So it's like, and a lot of times it's not just like a third or a fifth. It's like a drone. I hold one note and every word one note, or there's some where it's like, it'll line up with the melody for part of it and then it'll like divert off. And so kind of like trying to find these like alternative melodies in there too and see what like clusters nicely. Yeah, so it's a lot just by ear, and whether it's me in like the early phase of writing it or Jon just like on the spot, just like hearing what he hears. And he's like very like jazz background, so I think that kind of like spices it up a bit too with some of the harmony ideas.
Lexi is also a harmonistress and definitely has like a like you have such a voice as like a background. Like that's a crazy thing to say, but you like there is just like a sauce in your background vocals that's like on Mini Tree songs and also on like other people's songs, and like there's like it's a cool way. Like we just spoke with Sophie about this too, where like she kind of like hits an entire song with like everything and then pairs it back, which is like makes so much sense. And I just did this with Lexi's vocals on a Jake Tittle song where it's like, Lexi hit it with everything, and then I kind of figured out what best suited like the section or the line or the word even specifically. And like it's such an interesting way to arrange, and you can really go like the full breaking point, and then once you bring it back you kind of have like a beautiful like pathway through the song. But yeah, also just like your part writing and your like harmony choices, like you're saying, it's not just like thirds below and above, it's like it's such a cool element to all the Mini Trees music, I think.
Thanks. Yeah, I do think it's become kind of like a characteristic of it. Yeah, there's a lot that I've like picked up on over the years of doing it with Jon too, that just ideas that I always consistently will try. Yeah.
Would you leak any of those?
Yeah, I mean, let me think. Well, I guess it's kind of case by case, and me not being very music theory oriented, I sometimes have a hard time explaining it. But usually, I will always try and hit the third. I always do octaves, and then I always attempt a one note drone and kind of see how those things sound in there. And a lot of times, it has cool results. But yeah, for a lot of it is just melody by melody, sitting with it and seeing what sounds cool and trying it, and sometimes scrapping it. Yeah, anything that sort of like has that kind of clustery things like rubbing together a little bit, but in like a pleasing way, like is my jam.
Yes, I love that. I had like a question, just literally like a what is it type of question. just
Okay.
because like on songs like this, I'm, like, well, I had two. One is like this, it sounds like pitched up guitar or something, but like it's, doing like a rhythmic side to side thing in the intro loop. And it's kind of giving this like Janet Jackson, like,
But
is
yeah,
that like meticulously chopped? Is that like a delay thing that just ended up sounding cool? Like, what is going on there?
yeah, that is a chopped up Nashville guitar. So I'm trying to
High strung.
remember. Yeah, the high string guitar. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, it might have been. I think if I remember correctly, when we were tracking guitars for the chorus, I like doubled the same chords because there's like a lot of guitars in there. There's different electric guitar parts. There's acoustics that are just like strumming along, and so I think I doubled the acoustic with the Nashville high strung acoustic, and then Jon chopped that up and like we were throwing it around the song, and it ended up becoming a very like a big moment in the intros. And we used it like in other songs too, like Push and Pull. We did a little bit of that same thing, like chopped up some Nashville guitars and kind of dropped them and like throughout the bridge and stuff. So that kind of became like a cool like theme of the EP. But yeah, that's what that is. I could share those stems with you. I'm pretty sure it was just like I did a take just playing it and then
That's cool.
Do you have any idea how many tracks are in this song in like the final version?
Ooh,
that's a great
good
question.
cue.
Many, many, many tracks. I always request group stems because I don't know what to do with the like raw individual ones when there's like multiple mics and stuff. So usually I have Jon or the mix engineer like group them for me, but I would imagine yeah, dozens and dozens of tracks cuz even thinking about the BG, we double
Right,
every part. So there's just tons in there.
that's so cool. Thank you so much for sharing. It's like very kind of you, and also it's specifically helpful for me because I do not really come from a vocal background, from a vocally inspired place. I think maybe, and especially when it comes to layering vocals and like harmonies, I can hear like the simple stuff, but it's always just really interesting to hear what people's approaches are for like additional vocals and ad libbing stuff. And I think that is such a um, sort of a really beautiful part of your music is that you are able to create these like layered, like these like woven fabrics of melody and of harmony with your vocals, which is so cool, especially also because you're like a multi-instrumentalist. So it's like a drummer who can do hella harmonies, like that's a drummer I want to work with.
I was always just striving to be Aaron Gillespie. Do you
Oh
guys know who that
yeah.
is?
Is that
Wow.
Under Oath?
Yeah,
Of
Under Oath
course.
song? That's so
absolutely.
funny. I mean, just
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
He was like my hero in like middle school.
Well, that's iconic. Well, Lexi, thank you so much for being on the pod. Is there anything that you want to plug or any Mini Trees news that you have to share?
We are gonna be in the Northeast in like February, late January, February for a festival, and potentially booking some shows around that. Working on that right now. And yeah, other than that, I'm just kind of like in mega writing mode. So hopefully more to share next year. But yeah, thank you both for having me and for like caring about the song and digging into it. I appreciate it, and I respect you both so much. So it's fun to get to have this chat, and I hope we hang in person soon.
Absolutely, yes. Well, thank you so much for sharing with us. We are fans and we are friends of Mini Trees, and exciting to be on the East Coast playing some shows. And obviously, I'm so very looking forward to whatever you have next coming out.
Thanks, y'all.
Yeah,
Likewise.
it's a, it's a lot easier for you two to hang out, but I really do hope I get to see you soon, Lexi. And yeah, especially on those East Coast shows. Hopefully, I can like find a way to do your set,
There is
and maybe we can even
A New York
have that
show.
time. Okay, great, great, fantastic. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to come on and share all about your experience with this song and all about Simlish, etc. it's really been a pleasure. So thank you so much for making the time.
Thank you, Allie. Thank you, Sarah.
Have a good one. I'll see you soon, Lexi.
Yeah, sounds good. Y'all too. Bye.
Bye.